All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Jim Delfonso and myself here. We're going to take a few minutes of your time and show you about basement ceilings and some of the things that we should be looking for when you are looking at a basement ceiling. And as you can see, we have an unfinished basement here that we will work on talking about all of the different things that need to be discussed throughout a basement ceiling, so that when you're having these conversations with customers, you can also plug in some of these things you might learn. And we'll catch up to the next segment. All right, we're back here. Jim is going to now. I'll be the customer, and there we go. I'll be the customer, and Jim, take over.
Well, Greg, thanks for having us out today. I can call you Greg, right?
Yes, you can.
Here's my card.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Here's another card. Actually, here's another card.
I wonder where you got that routine from.
I don't know. So, what are you intending on using the space for down here? It's
Okay.
a nice space.
So the idea here is right now it's kind of a kid space, and we just want to clean it up. And but that doesn't mean that in the future we'll be doing something more with it. But right now, I just want to kind of clean it up and kind of just make it feel a little bit less like a construction site.
Okay. Well, I would suggest rather than going through something sterile like what we call a fissured tile that you'd see in a school or some medical facilities, a super popular tile in home settings would be a tile like Dune or Olympia that has a scratch-proof kind of surface on it, because you figure you're going to be at, I can almost touch this, you're probably going to be around a 7-foot ceiling height, I would imagine. So it's going to be real easy to touch. So that's going to be advantageous for you. And if the kids are down here, it's going to keep the sound down too, especially with the insulation you already have up here.
So with the let's talk about the ceiling height for a minute. I don't really want to lose the ceiling height. How tight can you put a ceiling in?
Well, we try to be at about 3 to 3.5 inches below the lowest point.
Okay.
However, in your case here, which is a little different than I see in a lot of basements, you've already got sprinkler heads. So that is going to dictate your ceiling height, unless you want to go to the expense of raising and lowering these, which could definitely be a deal buster with a project like this.
Will that change the price of the job if it's a higher or lower ceiling? Is that going to really change things?
In this scenario, no. If we were in a commercial setting and the guys had to get on special equipment to get higher, right now, I probably have a guy tall enough to do this from the ground.
Right. Okay.
But it'll be no problem here.
Okay. Now, what about my walls? This is what I like. I like this look, and I don't have any problem finishing. Will you have a problem attaching to this block wall?
No, absolutely not. I see you've got some drywall here and block here. So I'm just going to make a notation when I do my measurements of what the walls are, so the guys have the proper fasteners to get their wall angle attached to it.
Okay. All right, we're going to take another segment. Stand by. Okay, so Jim, continue.
So we're here in the basement, and I'm noticing there are some general conditions that we want to just address to make sure that you know what to expect when we're here, and the guys know what to do here. First thing are these windows. So if our ceiling height is going to be at approximately 7 foot, what are we going to do with this area? Plus, we want to make sure that, depending on what's going on in town, this may need to be an egress window. So we want it to be able to open like it should. So what we'll do normally is what we call a window rake.
Now, do I have to do anything to this window first, or can we work with it this way, or what do you suggest this way?
Greg, we can work with it this way. I know you committed to kind of keeping this wall surface, but you might be happier if you have a carpenter in the family or someone you could get to pack this out and then maybe finish it in one by, just so we're not running. Let me back up. Components of a ceiling are wall angle, which attaches to the wall. You've got 12-foot mains, which are attached by 4-foot T's to set up a 2x4 pattern, which then can, if we choose to, be separated into 2x2 pattern for that sort of look of tile. So let's talk about the wall angle. The wall angle is going to be attached here. It may look a little clunky to turn this corner, then have a little piece here and come across, and we'll have to notch around this alarm wire. And then
it'll actually go up. It'll actually go up to
yeah, but I'm just looking at this. So if you pack this out and that was finished, it might look a little nicer if
Yeah.
we were going to do one
Yep.
thing.
Okay.
But we can do either thing. But
right.
just know that the wall angle will look a little disjuncted there. So what'll happen is the ceiling will actually do this to the finished ceiling height, and then on either side we'll have a vertical piece that'll look like a little triangle.
Okay.
So that'll happen there.
And you
that's
call this is called a
window rake.
A window rake. Okay.
Yep, that's called a window rake.
Now, do I have to finish this above the door here? What I mean, it's
No.
it's straight across here. So, in other words, the wall angle doesn't have to be on a flat surface. It can carry. It can go across this area that's even now.
It could. You may choose to want to finish this
could.
just so it's done. So it'll be easier for you to do it now than doing it later once our
Yeah.
wall angle's out.
Uh-huh.
And there's a little inconsistency here, but we can work around it if you know that that's what it's going to look like. So you figure this is already, there's a little void here when we span that.
Right.
So
right.
if that's
Okay.
if you're good with that, we're fine with working with
Okay.
that. And this is just a similar condition here at this window, and we would do the same thing.
Okay. So,
Right.
what
So-
else should we be looking
Well,
for?
walking through, we look good actually through here. And this is a similar condition here. We want to do a couple different ways we can
So
handle
this is the stairway coming
Yep.
down. Go ahead.
We can do what's called a stair rake, which you've got a little bit of drywall here. We could start it there, or we could start it here. But the issue is, you want to make sure that nobody's hitting their head. On the
Right,
ceiling.
coming down.
Exactly. But you know what might be a nice alternative here, if you wanted to run the sheetrock out and build what we
Yeah.
call a bulkhead,
Okay.
which you come down maybe to the ceiling height, or for safety, come an inch below what we establish our ceiling height is, wrap that in sheetrock,
Okay.
bring it around, and then we can attach the ceiling right to that.
To
And
the
then you have this-
outside of that bulkhead.
Exactly. Then you have the flat area. There's no chance of anybody hitting their head.
Right now, what if I didn't want to do that and I just wanted to? I like the idea of maybe take this out of here and making this area flat over
Yeah.
to this section here. So if I do that, what can you do with the ceiling to that?
Okay. You can either build what we call a bulkhead, which comes down to attach to. We could also build what's called a vertical, where the ceiling would come down straight to our finished ceiling height and then run off this way.
Okay.
But just know that this face here will either be built of ceiling tile,
Okay.
or we actually have some molding options, which basically look like it's white molding that's been put on a break
Metal. Okay.
that we could put across there.
Right.
And we actually could also build a vertical out of grid, and you could screw a piece of finished 3/4 thick 1x material to it,
Okay.
and give that a nice finished look and paint it white.
Okay. All right. So this is called a stair configuration, a stair rake. It's not really a rake in this case, but sometimes it is. And we do have options here. So option one. So in every case here, in order to maintain the height, we should probably finish that flat section so you come down and you have the height in that area.
You are an incredibly smart consumer.
Okay, and then we have the options of the bulkheading, which is going to take additional carpentry work, which will be done by the homeowner, or we could build that out of ceilings, and those face of the ceiling vertical can be either ceiling tile. And now, how does the ceiling tile not fall out?
It's held in. We have special clips that go behind it that snap on the grid, that press against it and create
Okay.
a pressure point to hold it into the
All
grid.
right, so that's one, and that's a worry that I might have. But the other thing would be to put some material on the face of it, or it could be AZAC or 1x or some finished something like that.
Sure.
Okay, we'll get to the next segment. Okay, we're back. So we have some other things we have to deal with here. Now the ceiling height, I can see where the ceiling height is with the sprinkler, and that ductwork is below. So what's the story here?
Relax, calm down now. Don't stress. Take it easy.
So what we do is, my first impression would be to build a duct box out of this. So the ceiling would come across just shy of this. And first thing I want to make sure is nothing protruding. So we come across, and we can build a vertical down, and then die back into the wall, and we can encase all this. And the great thing about doing that out of ceiling material is if there's something in here you have to get to, I don't know if there are any shutoff valves or anything, you're still going to be able to get up in there,
Okay.
rather than doing it in sheetrock at this point.
Right. So that's one option. You could actually just build a box out of wood, or you could do that. Now, tell me about drywall grid. Is that an option too? I mean, could we?
Certainly, we could put drywall grid up for you and have you or a drywall person come in and do a finished soffit. But I would, again, just make sure that you don't need to get in this, because
Okay.
once it's encased,
Right.
without ripping the drywall out to get to anything,
Okay.
it's going to be a problem.
But but I'm on a limited budget. I mean, well, first of all, does these rakes, is this like price wise? Is this? Can you give me a separate price for the just the box so I can see what that costs me?
Oh, absolutely. That's easy. It is an additional cost, and it's basically just a little bit of material and the guy's labor. It takes a little doing to put together, but
Okay.
you can compare that against overcoming that obstacle
Right,
in
right.
other ways.
So we have that. It goes to the full length there. So that other area over there would be in the ceiling because it's higher than
It would be.
than there. So we're only talking about this one wall along here.
But I noticed something else that you probably don't mind. It's over here that you already did. If it's aesthetically pleasing to you, you could put a ceiling in and just stop it short of those mechanicals.
Yeah, and just leave it open like that. I mean, it is a basement, and we're just, I've got
exactly.
the look of everything. So.
Exactly.
And that's a good way and a good reason for me to separate the price of the box so we can determine if this bothers me by that amount of money.
Exactly.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, while we're here, what is this ceiling that's up here now? This is the dune tile.
That is the tile I was actually
Now,
suggesting.
why
to
are
you.
we suggesting this type of tile? This is because why?
It's what's called a scrim tile. It's a scratch resistant coating, so that this low, if you're hitting it, it's going to have less chance of getting dinged and damaged.
Okay. Right, and it's a reveal edge.
It
You
is,
get
it
this
is.
little drop edge. It drops down here, so we have a reveal edge on here. And this also has a warranty against sag. So this is very a good tile as your middle of the road good tile for a basement ceiling. We use this quite frequently. So yeah, I'm not putting that in the camera there. Yeah. Oops, I don't want to put that in the camera. So, all right, Jim. Thank you so much.
bet.
Any other things that we should be looking at here that we might have missed? Now, what? So, what are you going to do now? You would just measure the area.
Exactly. I'm going to take my laser out. I'm going to measure the area. I'm going to write down field conditions so that the mechanics, when they come, know what they're kind of dealing with, and our project management team knows what types of material and extra things they would need to send.
Okay.
I want to notate the type of walls, what we're hanging from, ceiling heights, so that they have all that information.
Got ya.
And then I'll send this up when I get in the car. I'll finish writing it up. Send it up to our pricing team,
Right.
and you should have a proposal within 48 hours.
Okay.
If-
And you do have a space to come in, so you don't have to come through the house. That is something that we need to consider as we're doing house jobs. Do you have to walk through the finished area with all this material versus being able to go straight out? So that's something to keep in mind as well for the people that are actually going out to measure. Well, Jim, I just want to thank you very much. This was very educational. We appreciate you, buddy. Have a great day, and
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to give the exceptional experience.
Calm down now.